So I don't know if you do it or not, but I think it would help to get a sense of your background, what your experience is, and
Yes, absolutely.
Who is Cody? Yeah.
Cool. Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Cody. I'm from here originally, born and raised in Pensacola up to about 18 years old, 19. Then I went to Tallahassee to live some time, and through those like core defining moments in my life, I was like really into like basketball and sports and drumming on like the window when I'm in the car drive and stuff. I always had like questions in my mind. I'm like very active, and I always ask like, why are we doing X, Y, Z? Why are we going to church? It's like, well, because we like have to. It's like, oh, okay, but why? Like, why are we doing this? Like, why am I going to school? Why don't I hang out with you and like play my Game Boy? And they're like, oh, you have to go to school. But there wasn't like anything that like made me feel like, oh, I get it. I didn't like get that full circle like, oh, that makes so much sense. I just kind of well, I can't do anything else. Like, these are my constraints I have to live by, so I have to live in these constraints. And over time, it just compounds and compounds, and it's like a weight. Maybe you feel it. It gets heavier and heavier and heavier, and your back starts arching, and you're like, I'm fucking old, but I feel I'm 20, or whatever age you are. It's like time is just man-made. It's like, now it's like just made up, so why don't we just give ourselves some more time, right? Well, the more and more I think about those things, like I think about the time when I was 15 years old, and I went down a path of self-discovery that was not the most accepted path of self-discovery, through opiate addiction, hand over fist, Lortabs, just going crazy, like Oxycontin, like I couldn't stop because I was looking for something. I kept asking why, but I kept coming up with a response of like, I don't know why, but this feeling makes me feel like I found it, so I got to follow the feeling, and then that led me to where I am ultimately today. The impossible is really just the undiscovered. The framing helped me see that just because no one's found it out, just because everybody else around you says that it can't happen, it doesn't exist, it's like, well, that's their perspective. And if we're trusting ourselves and then we're doing everything through the lens of like trusting myself, then I can see trust, I can see positivity, I can see spins on things outside of myself. So always coming back to my why, and it's an ongoing journey, and I've never figured it out, because it's not about the proof itself, but it's about the journey to the proof and the patterns that emerge from that journey. So my life up to 20, difficult time, transition, searching, losing ground, losing friends to accidental death, losing family to death, continually asking, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is the point of my footsteps? So why am I here today?
Tell me sorry.
Go ahead, man. Okay. The harder route. I wanted to find myself, I wanted to trust myself. That was the harder route, but it was the only route that felt true. And right now I'm going through a big transition. I'm like having fights with like seemingly everybody in my life. Nobody fucking likes me right now, but I feel like I like myself the most right now. So then it's like this paradox. It's like, why do I love the person I am right now, but everybody else hates me? It makes me feel, I feel powerful because I know I am, and I feel good about it, because I know there's been times where I'm like, I'm at the foots of like the devil, and everybody is like, hey man, like, they're all my friends. But it's like, well, that just seems ass backwards to me. So I just keep going down this path, and fired for asking questions. So I guess the straw that broke the camel's back here is I got fired from Prudential as a customer service representative doing life insurance work, and I was asking questions to better the systems, the constraints they gave me. They said, hey, play inside this box. I'm drawing all over the walls. And then they say, hey, stop drawing on the walls. I'm like, well, you put me in this box and you gave me some crowns. What do you expect me to do? So I got fired for asking questions to better their systems, realizing they're not trying to better their systems through me. They want to better their systems through themselves, and then allow me maybe I just didn't really feel like I was making full circle in that space. So then I had to start looking internally and figuring out, okay, well, if I can't get a task list from somebody else that's meaningful, I got to start defining my own task list that's meaningful for me. And then ultimately, that would lead me to a pattern. So job after job, I'm giving these task lists, didn't include me in the core work. I kept being pushed out of curiosity. The sign was clear. I just, it wasn't in the right places. So defining myself here, defining my own path, trusting in myself, through this lens, I see truth all around me. Failures immediately become the discovered evidence where not to go. So in the scientific method, it's like, if I go down this path, I'm walking down this path, walking down this, like, oh shit, there's a wall there. Hey guys, there's a wall here. Don't go this way. Let's go this way. You know what I mean? And then we start walking down this path and say, oh, here's a person here. Hey, what's up, man? And then you're like telling me a story, and then you're like, oh, like that's how I sprout my right wing. Thank you. And then I keep going. Hey, what's up, man? I walked in the wall over here. Don't go that way, but you seem cool. Like, hey, what's that story? How to sprout my left wing? You know what I mean? And then I'm walking through life, and each node, each point of discovery or non-discovery, or maybe the wall is still a discovery, I can find my wings. I can find flight in my journey. So building Coda. I began this journey, I wanted to make a productivity app. Really, I just wanted to put something on my phone to where I can go to a notepad that is not my native notes, because I've been having trouble searching through it when I have ideas there. So I built Coda, where it's a place where you can just spin up an idea and then put some text under it and then click into it and then kind of scaffold it. It's kind of an iterative system where it's like an ideas, and then there's features for each idea that you create. Very easily to search through, just a quick text productivity app. But ultimately that turned into something a little bit more. And the whole point of me building this was to capture the chaos of my mind. So chaotic. There's so much going on up there. But it's like, that's okay, because there's so much going on in the sun. Like, no one can live on the sun surface. It's so chaotic. It's like, but seemingly, from the right distance, it creates a magnificent organization, magnificent clarity. And, maybe our chaotic minds mimic the sun. So maybe if I can figure out how to be my own Earth within my own solar system of my life, finding that orbital distance that creates beautiful geometry, that creates something that makes sense, creates organization. So emergent patterns through chaotic domain space, living in chaos with the intention of organization, finding patterns that help me organize work, thoughts, keeping myself honest, keeping agentic systems rooted in ground truths. Now that we have these agentic flows, they're like, mass deleting, your root directory. It's like, we don't want that, and there's ways to, harness, progress in a space. Like if I'm asking the question correct, then most likely it's not going to do those destructive things. But also, it's important to have some switches in the back end and just not allow those commands to be ran, which you can do now. Writing. So I wrote a book called Lawyer Without Law School. My dad worked at Levin Law Firm for many years. His name is Clay Mitchell. And every conversation we've had since I was a boy, is like, you need to go to school, you need to get a degree, you need to do this, that, and this. I don't know. Okay, Dad, I'll do it. I'm like begrudgingly going to different schools. I've probably gone to 10 different schools. And everyone else would be like, Cody, you've got the opportunity of a lifetime. You've got the opportunity to go to any school that you want, study anything that you want. What's the problem? It's like almost I had decision fatigue because I didn't understand my ground truth. I didn't understand who I was. So how do I understand how I'm going to externally accept information when I don't even know how to internally be okay with who I am right now? So that one conversation with my dad was like, you know what? It was just recently, about 3 weeks ago. I was like, I'm going to write a book about finding a path to being a lawyer without going to law school, and then I want to sell that to people who want to maybe take that path, ignoring the $200,000, $300,000 path for maybe $2,000 of self-pay and $14.99, whatever this book is. So the impossible is just the undiscovered. And so I'm writing another book called Solving the Unsolvable. Impossible is just the undiscovered. It's a theme here. The Sunflower Conjecture, an open problem since the 1960s. I wanted to know what it felt like to run into like 1,000 walls, like purposefully to try to figure out, if I could find points, like little nuggets of truth that maybe I could contribute to science and math. And I found this Sunflower Conjecture problem. I didn't put the link up here, I should have. Erdősproblems.com. Have you all heard of that before? Erdős? So it's a lot of these old mathematician problems that is famously known for putting prize money up for these problems. This one doesn't actually have prize money on it, but it was just interesting to me, and I'll tell you why. Because it said sunflower. It's literally it. I was creating a feature within my Coda app to, when you go to create a project, there's different projects you might want to create. You might already know the project you want to create. Great, do that. Or you click the Frontier Research button, and then it scaffolds a whole bunch of open problems from different API sources into a space where you can search for those open problems that mathematicians have been working on for decades, or just years, or maybe months. Maybe they're new problems. But you can tackle them with all of the proper research attached. That was my goal. So I set up the API, and I was like, I'm about to spend the next 40 hours on this feature. It's going to be great. No, I literally spent 1 minute with the API, saw it scaffold. I clicked on the first problem, and it was the Sunflower Conjecture. And I saw sunflowers. Like, oh, that's cool. Oh, this is a problem about flowers. And I was like, yeah. So I copy and pasted and put it into my agentic flow, and then I just started going. And the last week and a half has been me staying up every night, sleeping on a pad on my floor, and waking up. I don't know if they have some saying 3-hour nap cycles, but I've been doing that. And it's been driving me a little bad shit, but also I've learned so much. And part of that has just been the patterns that have emerged from the journey. And a big part of it was just going for it, trusting myself. It's going back to just trusting myself. I even tricked myself into thinking I had the proof. I wrote the paper with my agentic system. I was tagging fucking Elon Musk and Jensen Huang. I'm like, yeah, guys, I did it. Give me the gold medal. I'm ready, And then I realized I was wrong. But the way I found out I was wrong, I got the top combinatrix mathematician in the space to prove I was wrong. He called me out on Twitter. He said, dude, you're bad. You're crazy. This is very incorrect. You don't have any lemmas. You don't have any lean files. You have no computation to back this up. And I said, what do you mean? Claude said it was cool. You know what I mean? So I realized in that moment, I had fucked up, I ended up figuring out, what's a lean file? Oh, what's a lemma? Oh, I need these things to validate my theorems, to validate my hypothesis. I didn't know that before, but I would have never figured it out if I didn't go for it. If I wasn't comfortable with being a clown in public, but not even being a clown, just trusting myself. And then immediately, I followed this scientific method with scientific honesty, and I redacted the claim. I quoted the person who called me out. I proved it with my agentic system. They're like, yeah, dude, you're totally wrong. I don't know why I told it you were, I didn't know why I told you it was correct, because it is definitely wrong. And through the process, there's actually pieces that was correct. Just the whole thing wasn't right. So now I've been focusing on the things that were right, and then I've been building from that with balance and symmetry. And it's been the most beautiful process that I've ever experienced in coding. So back to the lab. Defining my lemmas, lean files, computed arithmetic to back up claims. I'm searching for big M, open paren, 8, 3, close paren, is either going to equal 45 by unsat, or it's going to equal 46 or greater by sat finding. So it's something that I learned about in the space, what a sat solver is and how long it takes to compute these things and how this particular problem grows exponentially. So, the undiscovered, the impossible is just the undiscovered. Failures are not endings, they are discovered evidence. So trust yourself. Take the step, verify, repeat. What's the next slide?
Last one.
This is where you can connect with me, y'all. If you want to be a lawyer and not go to law school, that's the book for you. It also has got some inspirational forwards and so on and so forth. Now, talk about patterns that emerged. These two bottom links are my GitHubs. The one on the left is called the Open Research Protocol that I'm working on. It's pretty minimal, but I added some stuff today that I think you guys are going to like. Basically, you go straight to my GitHub and you can clone it down into any repo that you're working on, any directory that you're working on, and it's going to keep you honest. It's going to keep your system honest. It has a way to synthesize evidence and findings in a way that, oh, what's verified, what's not, what's a claim, what's proof, and it's making sure that it's organizing those for you from the beginning of your research, not the end after you thought you proved it and then you talked to the top math guy and yada yada. That being said, that was very beneficial to me, but yes, sir.
Okay, so I don't know if you're done or not, but so now I've realized you're a much deeper thinker than I ever imagined. So that was awesome. I'm really curious, I was hoping to hear more about what CODA CLI is,
Yeah.
why you built it, and what have you done, what steps have you gone through to build it?
Yes.
So hopefully we'll get some of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
So for CODA, this particular piece, this is the first iteration, which you can, so we got the ideas here, and Rob's got the LLM Poisson vector analysis here, and then he could pop open a new feature if you wanted. There's ways you can share your spaces too. So if you want to share your idea with someone else who also has CODA, the databases are locked up, so you could add people to those particular ideas, and those cards would pop up in their profiles. So it's a way to easily share things. For me, I mainly just use it solo. This was the first iteration. Right now, I'm working on the desktop application. So, hey, what's up, man? It's been a while. I'm working on the desktop iteration right now, which I'm totally in love with. It's built in backend Rust, and it's front-end React using a framework called Tauri, T-A-U-R-I. I've never written Rust before, but Claude, ported it in less than an hour and a half, 2 hours from my Node version. And
why did you choose Rust?
For I guess the hype around it recently. People were talking about how fast Rust is, but basically it. From the agentic research that I did, it seemed like the best bet. Ultimately, I think Dionysus is full Rust. I think I'm mispronouncing that, but there's full Rust implementations, but I didn't want to go to a full Rust implementation because I was still iterating heavy on the front end, and you can iterate fast with React. So kept the back end in Rust to get ready for that full Rust implementation. So then if we were to port it to a smaller robotic feature or something that was needed a more minimal build on it, then we could do so. That was the vision of ultimately where we're going full Rust.
Why would you why would it be ported to a robotic feature? What?
So yeah.
Still.
And that, yeah, exactly, right. For me right now, I guess you could port it to some smaller chip device, so then you could have plug up a screen and have a GUI interface, and then you're sending your commands to, or but I envision it as more of a desktop application, a mobile operating system, and/or just mobile application. And I don't have any pictures of my actual desktop application, really, obviously right now, but this is the CLI, this database is attached to the desktop app, so whatever you create here, you're gonna have full access to context-wise going forward, forward compatibility, if you will, so all your PS1 games will be able to play on PS5.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So I have a comment. So I've been following Cody on. He's doing a live stream every Saturday. He presents this. He's building it live in front of you. So if you're ever interested in seeing someone vibe code, I think his Saturday streams are actually a really good resource to learn. Because his flow is actually very interesting, and to see. I think I was on the last one. I was like, oh, well, can you make the font bigger on your desktop app? And I was like, oh, well, this is going to take a while. But he was able to prompt it and get this thing going, and it actually. Using Codex, you're using Codex as your main thing, and then you're jumping between a few of them. But
yeah,
I think I wanted to so one of the ideas I think that was appealing to me about your project is you're kind of using it to engineer your context for your ideas to feed back into the AI. So like all of these things, these nodes here, if you will, like you would create them and then you have your agent pull that and then it's helping you keep track of some type of context while you're programming it. So he's using Coda to build Coda, which I think is like the bootstrapping method, which I thought was pretty cool. But maybe you can go through, so Lean, I think no one in this room has ever heard of Lean. So Lean is a mathematical programming language that it's got a theorem solver in it. So you can write, go ahead.
No, please, take.
So it's very arcane, but it's like if you have like some proof and you want to like, rather than going through the exhaustive process of doing a mathematical proof, you describe it in such a way and you can say, computer?
Yeah.
Is this correct?
Yes, and then the stat solving would use the Lean files to solve for this, and it would take, they use CPU threads, so if you have like 24 cores, then you can run 24 stat solvers, you know, that's like single threaded.
So that idea though, like that you went down that path, and I think that's kind of what's interesting about AI is somehow you went down this deep rabbit hole and you found a very academic tool that I had heard of because of a very specific thing of research that I was doing. But it's cool that you found it, you found someone using it, and a lot of people are trying to get the AI to write in this Lean language so that they can have provable things that the machine, what it says it's doing, it can prove that it's doing.
Right.
So I think that's a really cool anecdote that you brought up.
100%. And the whole point of me going after the Sunflower Conjecture as a proof, as a solve, or just the journey in itself, was to make Coda better so that when the users, y'all, click, man, you know, today I'm feeling like I want to do a frontier research problem. I want to like, you know, just use some of my compute. Because I feel like we're moving to a world of like, we're all going to have compute and we can use it for whatever we want. And the systems are going to be able to look at the problem and just be like, oh yeah, that's a problem. Which problem out of the million problems that you have in front of you do you want to use your compute on today? You have this much compute based on how much hardware you have, based on what your allotment, based on what our future looks like in that space. So then you'd be like, oh, I want to put my compute here, you know? So that was the original thought of just making that much more accessible, because to software development in general, so within Coda, I've totally abstracted the Git flow. So it just clicks, like you just have to click to press save. Everyone's saved a video game right before you go to the boss level, because when you die, you want to wake up outside the boss room, not inside the boss room, you know? So like that's kind of like going back to this video game space. There's a hot bar at the bottom. If you ever play World of Warcraft, it'll look very familiar. It'll be right at home, you know? Like that was the kind of idea of like it's easy to access. There's a chat bot named Cody in there that'll help you figure out top level elements of the knowledge base, figuring out what you need to do in this, like, oh, I'm confused, where do I click? You know, I'm working on the actual, like, where do I click? And then it uses computer vision, you know, maybe even helps your mouse go into a particular way. So there's a lot of forward thinking in that space. I've just been so entrenched in the frontier research problem that I lost myself a bit, but recently found myself just last night again in a way that it just, every time you go for something impossible, go for something that is very much in the void, you're always pulling something out. So yeah, I guess to kind of like tie it all home, if you're ever thinking of doing something, there's no better time like now. If you have $20, a credit card, and like you can just go on and grab Claude, or maybe spend a little bit more if you're doing a lot of development work, but you can do so much with just the little bit to just kind of get that spark rolling, and really create anything. So.
Okay, one more question. So like this is a big theme with me. I think anybody that talks about what they're building, like I'm just gonna always like gravitate to this theme very hard and very fast. What problem, like in one sentence, maybe two, like what problem does Coda solve? Like if
Yep.
if you because you kind of said when you guys use this, why would we use it? Like what problem fundamentally is it solving at the highest level?
The highest level?
The highest level.
Yes, internal blockage, like creating frictionless environments for our project space is that's like if I had to put it
So what is internal blockage?
Like if you ever ask yourself a question and then you get fatigued by not knowing the answer, it was because you maybe didn't ask it in the right way. So it provides suggestions for you to, like maybe,
It's like a research assistant.
Totally. Like there's the features of like creating sparks within an idea scope. So I create a project and then I start up with a README file and then I just hit spark and
So how does it
generate
do
10
that
sparks.
better than like Claude or ChatGPT or something?
It's
like,
powered by Opus right now, totally.
But like how does it differentiate? Like if I just had a project, I can create a project in ChatGPT.
Totally,
right?
totally.
I'm just trying to get an idea of like
Yeah,
where your vision's at
it's directly
compared to something we're all familiar with.
Totally. It's directly connected to your file systems, just like Claude Code, just like Codex would. But not everybody is used to using terminals. Who in here has used a terminal to code before? We got 4 hands up. How many people have used Gmail app? Almost everybody. Okay, so it's like I want to provide that space of the ease of access to get into something, because technically you could just go and create your own Gmail. You could create your own email system, but you'd rather just use Gmail. It works. It's easy enough. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. It's like if I can create an easy enough space to at least capture really zealous beginners through the advanced space, then I'll at least be able to be living that embodiment theory of no man left behind. So
the idea is that some of the tools that you're giving access to would only be accessible by very advanced users using a terminal, and you're trying to put a UI on top of that makes it really, really easy for anybody who can log into Gmail and write an email to use some of these very advanced tools. So you're abstracting a lot of high-tech stuff into this simple interface.
Yes.
And that high-tech stuff is so why is the high-tech stuff, like the terminal stuff, more leveraged in terms of research assistance than ChatGPT or something?
You're right.
Right.
Well, there would just be certain things that, for instance, I set up for that one QR code, it's the FLS, it's Frontier Literature Scanner I created. So it connects to Semantic Scholar API, connects to ARXIV, which is a Cornell University database for papers that you need endorsement. So if you know somebody that can endorse me, I've got my endorsement code handy, so just let me, because I would love to be endorsed to post papers there. But came to the conclusion I think I need to post publicly and be recognized by real mathematicians, as they call me. They say I'm not one, so they made that very apparent, but it's okay. So having that literature scanner, right, to be able to pull a lot of papers every hour just to make sure, is there a new paper posted? Did someone beat me to the finish line of figuring this problem out? Because if they did, it will be in these spaces. So be able to synthesize data quickly.
It crawls data.
Mm-hmm.
What data sources?
Semantic Scholar.
Okay.
Semantic Scholar is an API that you can do, or you can just go and.
Okay. Yeah, I see that there.
Or.
How did you find those?
I just looked up different where to find paper because I was I got my proof, right? I was ready to post. I'm creating my research paper, so I'm okay, where do I post this paper? Frontier Research, Erdős problem. They're oh yeah, you should go to Zenodo, you should go to ARXIV. So
Google search, DuckDuckGo,
how'd
you find them?
Agentic flow. So I was talking directly with my I think probably Claude Code or Codex, I think. On this, I think this is when I was still talking with Claude Code, because Claude actually wrote fully the first proof paper. So yeah, I was talking with Claude, because there's web search integrated in these tools now. So you're in the terminal, you're type in
Is that
Claude.
really? Did you try this one?
The
Oh, they locked them. I'm gonna just,
I guess how I like to
crop
think about
this
it
thing.
is that if you have a question from a professor, you know, you're
Hey.
at home doing your homework. Oh, I got this question. You write it down. You
Yeah,
wake
sorry,
up
it was
tomorrow.
locked.
You go
Yeah.
into school. You
Wonder
stand
who
in
else,
line.
like,
You wait for your
walked away,
professor to
like,
get the
forget
answer.
this.
You take the answer. You go back home to your work. You put it in your work. Well, now the professor lives in your folder. So instead of going to school, you just have to type literally five letters, Claude or Codex, however many letters that is, and then it just populates, and it's a GUI. It's like just a chat interface. It's just a line with an input box, and you just say, hey, what's up, man? What folder are you in? It's like, hey, Cody, I see you opened me up in a doing awesome things folder. Like, what would you like to do awesome today? And then I'd be like, oh, up to you, man. I'm out of ideas. And then Claude will just like come up with an idea, you know?
Do you have to pay for the tokens like you do on other AI?
Yes. With Claude, for Claude code, yes. So my product Coda, just want to differentiate, is powered by these tools. So on the downloads page of Coda, it shows a list of all the different technologies that you need to actually run Coda, and it recommends Claude Code. Right now I'm going to be including Codex back, just because I've been using Codex heavily recently. And it is very, very good.
About how many lines of code have you been able to get out of this?
Probably close to like 400,000 lines over the past 2 months, less maybe.
400,000 lines in 2 months.
Yeah, something like that.
The big question, does it work?
Yes, it works really well. That being said, my Coda desktop app needs a major refactors still, but it's never outside of the scope. It's never like, it never feels too late, and that's how I built Coda, is that it's never going to feel too late, because at every step it's holding your hand, making sure, because there's a progress bar that lets you know about your Git status branch. How many changes have you made? How many files have you touched before your last Git save, before your last ACP? Well, it literally shows you a progress bar, and you can dynamically set a limit. You're like, hey, actually, you know, in my brain, like I only want ever 3 files to be changed, and anything over 300 lines, that's the max. And then I want that bar to turn red and give me a notification, like you need to figure out what your commit is to commit and save your work. Because when you git commit something, that is just like saving, just like saving a video game. Like you saved it, it's never going away. So if something goes on in the future, you can go back to that save point. Let's say it just all goes to shit. Well, then you still got that save point right here. So if you're saving your Git commits, there's a few different reasons for this. Now, with traceability, being able to trace back through breakthroughs that you had in development, it's like, why was I programming so hard during this time? But then all of a sudden, like I looked at my Git history on GitHub, I was like, there's like months where I didn't program. But then this month, there's 40 different commits a day. So if you have very good traceability in your Git history, you could take your Git history and train models on your Git history. So there's a lot of benefits down the line if you have organized work now.
You're using vibe coding, right?
Yes, I haven't written a line of code in over 4 months now.
I have a really big question about it that hopefully you can answer.
Yeah.
When you vibe code what you're building and you get to a working thingy,
Mhm.
and then you need to add like a 1.1,
Mhm.
do you have to start from scratch, or can you actually vibe code a 1.1 without breaking the 1.0?
Oh yeah, no, you definitely can. And it's all about Git control, build version control, and that's all integrated in Coda as well. I'm excited to have it all working really well, so I'll come back and show you like the full working product demo of it. But it works well enough for my use case right now. But it all has that in it. But just as far as just a general question, without Coda, just Claude Code or Codex, you know, absolutely you can get to those same places. It's just learning like how to, you know, if you have like a packaged .exe or like an app that you want to like click on your like a desktop app like Coda, then yeah, you definitely want to, you know, think about where you're building. Because I was building through GitHub Actions, and then I used all of my credits, and then I was starting to charge me more for cloud. I was like, wait, I have a Mac. All I'm doing is building them. Like, I just like had one of those like, I'm so dumb. Like I can literally build it for free on my own system, and it'll be 4 times as fast. So, you know, there's But then I also have a PC, so you can, port over your build there, and there's different ways to link up your local systems.
I'm guessing Claude helped you figure out how to do that faster.
Yeah, all you got to do is ask the question now. And that's the craziest part. It's like I think that's the kicker, the theme of it all. It's like if you can now ask any question. And before I was asking so many questions, and I wasn't able to get the answers that made me feel whole enough to find real meaning in my life. Instead, I went down another path that I wish I never had. And I could maybe provide systems for people who also have those same sort of pitfalls, those same sort of forever loops of downward spiralness. I see it all the time. I catch myself doing it. I have to slap myself out of it, but I'm able to do it so much easier now with these systems. So I want to give these systems to people that can get themselves out of their own downward spirals and just like live life. It's like so beautiful. And you can do that just through asking the impossible question.
Hey Cody, that's awesome that you built Coda and all that. What would be your ideal customer for Coda?
Yes. I'd say definitely anyone who wants to do frontier mathematics, science, physics, new math, like just grandiose, like those kind of problems. This space, after this past week and a half, like I tell you, like, do you play video games?
I used to.
Okay, so, but like, that time when you like have a video game you're vibing with and you could stay up like all night with your buddies, like for like multiple, that's how I've felt over the past week and a half. I've never experienced anything like this before, and I think it's like the sole fact is like, we can now use the language that we grew up with on these systems that we have no idea how they are speaking. Like, I can now talk to ants and understand them with the language that I grew up with. Maybe not yet ants, coming soon, I fully think that. But we're able to talk with these like mathematical formulas and be like, hey, what's up? And the math is like, yo, just chilling. You know what I mean? Like, you feel heard.
My next question is what would that lead to? Why would someone want to do that?
So,
the end result?
Totally. The end result would be, so for instance, the Sunflower Conjecture problem and a lot of these frontier math problems, I really wish I put, now, will you go to Erdős.com just so they see it? Or sorry, erdősproblems.com. This is one of many websites, but if you just do a screenshot cut, go to one of the problems, any of the problems, right? Just do a screenshot cut and then paste it in the ChatGPT and say, what is the impact? What is the impact on my personal life? This is what I care about. What's the impact on my personal life that solving this would have? And you'll see for yourself, the impacts are it's like Star Trek stuff. Like if we can solve these problems, like we can do things that they're just like, it would just blow the cap off of everything that currently exists. But it's doing it from this very fundamental level. So it's like, if we can make this step really, really fundamental, we can all stand on it together. But we're all standing on like the shoulders of the last fundamental level. And so, yes.
So is it basically built for people who don't want to ask or don't know how to ask tough questions or feel stupid or are like, hey, I really, your example, what does this even impact me? But
right.
You don't know who to ask, and you're not going to go show up at like a college, lecture.
Right.
And you're like, in my own human-computer interaction, I'm going to use the language that I got.
Yes.
Be a Valley Girl blonde, legally blonde gal, and be like, and it's going to give me.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
That takes the element of like embarrassment and shame when people want to ask those tough questions. And I've been in tech for a very long time. And a lot of what I see, especially with women, is we're afraid to ask the question, or we don't know how, we don't want to sound stupid, we don't ask it in the right way. And then we get, oh, you know what you're talking about.
You know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But what you're saying is removing that and allowing us to ask questions, even though we don't know really what we're asking.
Not yet,
But
because
it
it's
helps
just
solve that.
undiscovered.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yes, and in the mirror factor, it's like every time I come to any agentic flow, I'm constantly looking at myself in the mirror because the way I generate the best response out of these systems is being unequivocally myself. Just being me, like just truly like what is like the most important thing. It's like when I start like getting an attitude with Claude, like I have to check myself, be like, okay, hold on. Like I'm gonna, delete half that because I know that I'm not gonna get the answer that I'm actually looking for. If we're gonna be like, I might get it, but it's gonna be a little back and forth until, so I have to, so it truly is like a very therapeutic experience.
My goal with you, Cody, is to generate like an amazing elevator pitch because I'm still trying to figure out what you built.
I just asked you how I can make money with solving this thing, and it says there's no direct way of solving the sunflower problem. But
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say like we're
I'm
going a
trying
little
to
long.
talk.
We can keep going, but if anyone wants pizza,
Yeah.
they're welcome to get
Yeah,
it. But thank you, Cody, so much.
Yes, of course, man. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'll relate it to my situation.
Yeah.
I have